All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Hope everyone is doing well, and today is the 18th of February, and it is looking pretty good outside. I think it's like maybe 15 degrees still. Oh, it's 23, but it's warming up here in Oklahoma, and wherever you're at, I hope you're staying safe and doing well, and thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Everybody out there, there's 1,000 podcasts out there you can listen to, so I really do appreciate everybody out there. But I'm coming to you a little bit late because yesterday I had internet problems. It was so cold outside, I guess it just froze up everything. And then also in the apartment building I live in, there was a flood. So nothing in my apartment got wet, and I'm fine, but the water is currently off for the second day. So it's very humbling to have to brush your teeth with a bottle of water and wash your hands with a Clorox wipe. So, but we'll get through this, and I'm very thankful to still have heat and power. There's a lot of people that don't have that. There was a guy in Tulsa the other day that died because he was homeless, and so I'm very thankful for that. And I saw people in Texas and Houston and that were having to go to like a place to get water and just to bring it back, and so and then people were filling up snow in their bathtub, and I saw some crazy pictures. People, I never seen a toilet freeze over, and then there was water coming through the ceiling fan in Texas. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy what's happening. I don't know about you, but if you heard this story or not here in Oklahoma, a couple nights ago was a Thunder game, and I couldn't tell you who they played. It doesn't matter, but the point is that this whole time here in Oklahoma, like, you need to conserve power, you need to, unplug everything, you need to turn down your thermostat to 68, which I didn't, but then they're like, you need to conserve water and all this kind of stuff, or it's just very confusing, because first they're like, you need to let your faucets drip, and then like, oh, you're using too much, you need to conserve water. But they had a Thunder game the other night, and it was very controversial because people were pissed off about it, because everybody in Oklahoma had to conserve, like everybody in the middle of the country had to conserve power, basically, so that other people can, like, we won't go out of power. And luckily, I live right by, or close by a Walmart. And so I'm thinking that's why I haven't lost power yet. So I'm thankful for that. But it's very interesting because they turned off all the lights downtown Oklahoma City the other night to conserve power for the ball game that night. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But this also, I forgot to mention, this episode on YouTube is audio only because my internet's still having problems, and I want to be able to upload this episode, basically. So if you're watching it on YouTube, you can head over to Spotify or iTunes and listen to it. Whenever everything's back to normal, back to video podcast. But in this episode, I just want to do audio only and talk about a couple things. Obviously, I can't not talk about this topic, but rest in peace, Rush Limbaugh. Now, I never was a big Rush guy. I think I'm a generation too late or something like that. I didn't really, I wasn't a listener. But I heard that name all my life. And wasn't he on Cars or something? I'm pretty sure he was on Cars. But I always heard that name all my life, but I never really listened to him that much. But I want to say a couple things here in a second. But first, I want to get into this town hall thing before I forget it. this town hall thing. If you missed it, they must have took it off of YouTube because it probably got like so many dislikes. I didn't know it was going on because everything been happening, like the weather, and I've been kind of off social media, and I really haven't been paying attention to everything that's been going on. But I've been keeping up with the best I can. But this town hall thing, I just watched it a couple of hours ago, and I will say, it is really bad that this guy is the president. Now, I like the fact that they invited people from all over. Like there was some independents, there were some like Republicans, there was some Democrats, and I think that's important. But the answers that he gave was just way too long. He was rambling on. I think at one point it was like 10 minutes for an answer or something like that. It was crazy. But a couple things. One of the things he said was that we're not going to be able to reopen until next year, like this time next year. So a couple weeks ago, it was like we're not going to reopen until this August or fall. Now it's going to be next Christmas or next January, February timeframe, like 2022. So that's another lie. Also, liberals are upset that that he lied about the student loan forgiveness thing. They had a liberal teacher asked him, said, "Hey, I have over $50,000, or I have under $50,000 in student loan debt. Can you forgive that?" And he's like, "We can't do that." And he basically said, "You need to enroll in the student loan forgiveness program, and you can work your way out of it." Which, if you know anything about that, that's a waste of time, right? There's, like, if you read into that, it's just not very many people get approved, and it's just really a waste of time. But he's going to, like, if you have under $10,000, he did say, we're going to forgive that. But I think it's funny that his supporters are getting screwed. I mean, like, everybody is, but it feels like a little bit not good, but it feels like well, I mean, I guess good. Like, it feels good to know that we're right and they were stupid. That's like, I'm just saying. I mean, it's sad. Also, another thing that he was talking about was the vaccine deal. He basically was saying that if you're black or Hispanic, you have a hard time getting to a computer, or you can't figure out a computer. But I think what he meant was, sometimes in these communities, it's hard to find internet access. But he worded it in a way that made it seem like he said, if you're black, you don't know how to use a computer. And I saw this hilarious video. I don't have it pulled up because it's not a video episode, but you can go find it. I think I saw it on Twitter, but it's this black guy. Actually, go to my likes over on Twitter and over on Patriot_redneck, OKPatriot76 on Twitter. Go look at my likes, but it's this black guy, and it's his wife. His wife is white, but it's like this black guy. He's sitting in front of a computer, and he's like, I don't know what to do because Biden said if I'm black, I don't know how to use a computer. And I do think conservatives took that a little bit too far. I was watching people on social media, and I do think that they took it a little bit too far. But if you listen to what he said, he basically meant that if you are, in poverty, and a lot of these neighborhoods are, you can't afford internet access. But white people are in poverty too. And also what he meant by that is, if you don't have a car, you can't go to the Walgreens or you can't find the resources. But I'm sorry, but I find it very hard to believe that people in these neighborhoods don't have a smartphone. Most smartphones you can find, like you have Google, and I may get some flack for saying this, but if you can afford $200 shoes, you can afford internet access. But I mean to say that these people in these neighborhoods don't have internet just because they're black, it's a little bit out there. So I totally understand why he's getting some pushback on that. Also, there was a comment that he said about biracial couples in commercials, which I thought was weird. There was a black guy there. He was a pastor. He voted for Trump, and it was funny. It wasn't really funny, but it was kind of weird to see Biden's body language during that conversation, because last May he said that if you're black and you voted for Trump, you ain't black. So it was very weird to see that. But if you notice, I watched the whole thing. It was absolutely brutal. And if you haven't seen it, you have to go to the CNN website and watch it. It's not on YouTube. But anybody who voted for him, or anybody that was a Democrat, he was really happy. But if they voted for Trump, they he kind of had this angry look on him. So I don't know what he's talking about, unity. But anyway, so much for that. But anyway, my favorite part was the end, and it was. I was glad it was over because it went on forever and ever, it seemed like. But my favorite part was the very end, when he was asked about how do you like living in the White House, and this is what he said.
Over the years, over your career, you've already spent a great deal of time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Except now you're living there and you're president. It's been 4 weeks. What's it like? How's it different?
I get up in the morning and look at Jill and say, where the hell are we? No.
But he did go on and say, like, I like being waited on and things like that, and I thought that was cool. I mean, you have to admit, Joe is a nice guy. I'm not saying he is bad, but I understand why people voted for him. But they're gonna find out. You know, I mean, he's already lied about the stimulus check. That's another thing. He said that's the biggest thing of the night. I totally forgot about that. He said that there wasn't a vaccine, but before he got into office. But he got the vaccine in December, which is before he got into office. He got the vaccine both times. And I watched that thing. I was like, "Oh, this is taken out of context," because sometimes the right does that. But no, he said that. He said that. I mean, before he got into office, there wasn't a vaccine, and the shelves were bare. And CNN wrote this article. They had to admit that Biden was wrong, which was absolutely incredible to see that. But you can go check that out if you want to. I spent way too long on that, but anyway. But I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I see why he voted for him, but I see why people voted for him, but and there's people out there that actually think he's a good guy, and then there's the majority of his voters, they're dead. But also the other ones are never Trumpers, and that's how he won. So anyway, I want to talk about this Rush Limbaugh deal. Like I said, I never was a big Rush Limbaugh guy, but I can't not talk about it, because if it wasn't for Rush, I don't think this podcast would exist. And I might argue that maybe the podcasts in general wouldn't be as popular, or maybe would have never been a thing if it had been for Rush's early days in talk radio. So if you don't know, he obviously passed away the other day, and it was a big loss for conservatives, and it was really it really pissed me off to see, which I wasn't really surprised, but it really pissed me off to see the reaction from the left. I watched this 20-minute long video yesterday from the Young Turks. Basically, they were highlighting everything that Rush said in the past 30 years in his career that was negative. And they said, just because someone passes away doesn't mean you have to say nice things about it if you don't mean it. And so he said, like the Chank Yoger, or whatever his name is, he said, Rush was a terrible guy, he was a racist, and it's because of him this alternative media is around for conservatives to bash liberals, and it went on and on. But it's because of Rush Limbaugh we have the Young Turks. It's because of Rush Limbaugh we have these alternative sources of media. I don't agree with the Young Turks, but you can go watch that if you want to. But it's very weird that, and sad that he didn't have anything nice to say. And not just like him, there's thousands of people on Twitter and celebrities, which is no surprise, but I keep on thinking back to whenever Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and Trump just got the news whenever he got off of the stage. He could have said every bad thing there is. I mean, Trump is well known for that. But of course, it was very surprising that he didn't say anything negative. Because I was like, oh, I mean, he's going to say something negative about her. But it was absolute, with respect. And he said she was a really good woman and she did a lot. Which was not a lie. She accomplished a lot. Same with Rush Limbaugh. You don't have to agree with them. But it's because of him, there is still AM radio, and there's like a whole genre of talk radio. And like I said, I might argue that maybe podcasting wouldn't be as popular if it hadn't been for talk radio. And he started talk radio. He's like the Elvis of talk radio, or he made it popular. And I guess a better analogy is Garth Brooks. He is to talk radio as is Garth Brooks is to country music. Garth Brooks made country music popular worldwide when it wasn't popular, and he brought it back, and it's because of Garth Brooks. Rush Limbaugh took a dying industry and brought it back to life. And he didn't just have his job, he had, other people's careers. Like I said, I didn't grow up in the 80s or 90s. I grew up in the 2000s. And so, I always knew of Rush, but I didn't listen to Rush. But if I was maybe 10 years earlier, I probably would have listened to Rush. But I think about all the people that he impacted and he help start their careers. So, if there hadn't been a Rush Limbaugh, there would be no Fox News. There'd be no Daily Wire. There'd be no Blaze. No alternative media. And it would be all mainstream media. And what was great about Rush in the 80s was, the mainstream media was already getting pretty biased at that point. And it probably already was. But Rush gave people a voice to people that didn't have one, and that's what was great. And I watched Glenn Beck last night on Hannity, and he said that, and this is a perfect thing to say about Rush. He was the Johnny Carson of radio, and there's never going to be another Rush. There's never going to be another Elvis. Never another Carson. And there's never going to be another these huge legendary, like, never another Beatles, like it's these huge names that like there's never going to be another one of those, and that's what Rush was. And so I never listened to, I don't even think I ever listened to more than maybe like an hour of his stuff. But I respect him for, you know, his career, and, you know, all these people coming out and they're saying that all the bad things that he said. If you do 3 hours of radio live for 30 years, you're going to say some stuff you regret. And I can't imagine, like, I mean, I struggle to do an hour, you know, every couple days. I can't imagine 3 hours. And it was interesting, I learned yesterday, I was watching some stuff about Rush Limbaugh, and I didn't know this, but in the 80s, in the 90s, there was restaurants that had Rush Limbaugh playing during lunch hour, and they were called Rush Rooms, and you can go in there and listen to Rush Limbaugh, and it was kind of a community of people. And he started this idea of political talk, or a conservative talk, or commentary. And so if it hadn't been for Rush, nobody, like, you know, Steven Crowder, Glenn Beck, any of these people, like Ben Shapiro, any of these people on the right, they would be non-existent. And so, you know, I have a little podcast, but I mean, like, if you take it to, you know, me to, like, all the way up to Glenn Beck, or, you know, Ben Shapiro, everybody in this movement has to pay, like owes something to Rush Limbaugh for what he did. So, and they, you know, everybody, like, you know, conservatives, there's a lot of conservatives in talk radio, and it's pretty, like, conservative. And I like what Dave Ramsey had to say. And if you haven't checked that out, go over there and watch his thing they did yesterday. But he said something really cool about him. And you know, like I said, I never was really a big listener, but I know what it's like to go to somebody, go to a person, and say, "Hey, wonder what they have to say about what's happening right now." And, you know, I can't imagine, like, before the internet, you know, hearing somebody, like, agree with you. Because, I mean, you have to think, like, the people in the 80s and 90s, all they had was the mainstream media. And then here you have Rush Limbaugh, who's, you know, saying what you feel and saying what you agree with. It's just like, I can't imagine what that would have felt like. And so I can't imagine the impact that he had on the country and maybe the world. And so I heard it say, Glenn Beck said it yesterday. He said like the reason why we still have AM radios is because of Rush Limbaugh. And I didn't know that. I thought that was interesting. But so thank you, Rush, for you know, giving everybody on the right the opportunity to do what we do. And it's, you know, like I said, I never really listened to him, but it's somebody that I always looked up to in the conservative world, and I just think that he did a lot of good. And obviously he said some stupid stuff, but like I said, if you're on air for 3 hours a day for 30 years, you're going to say some stupid stuff. But anyway, let's jump over to this Ted Cruz situation. A lot of people are upset about Ted Cruz going to Cancun, and he's probably already back in Texas. I think he maybe was forced to fly back or something. I don't know. Who knows? But I think it was a stupid move. I will say it's a very stupid move. It's not really a good look. But the people that are upset about it are not really upset about it. The people that are upset about it are hypocrites, because they're not saying anything about what's happening with Andrew Cuomo right now. Like, if you want somebody who's doing something really bad and like abandoning their citizens, I mean, I'm not talking about a senator, I'm talking about a whole governor who is in charge of a whole state. So these people that are upset about Ted Cruz taking his family to a warmer place, like, honestly, like, what is Ted Cruz going to do other than go help at a food bank or go hand out hot chocolate or something? Like, what is he going to do? One of my friends on Facebook that I graduated with, they like her dad took the whole family to Mexico. They're like, we're not doing this Oklahoma weather. So they went down to Mexico like this all of a sudden. And I read that like the trip with Ted Cruz was planned. I find that hard to believe. I think they just said that. I think that they just wanted to go to get out of the cold, which is understandable, but it's not a good look. But at the end of the day, if he wants to go and do that and you can afford it, I don't blame him. Right? Because, I mean, basically right now, like, all everybody's doing is just playing the waiting game and just letting everything thaw. That's what I'm doing with the pipes here, with the water. People are just playing the waiting game. Just everything thaw. Next week in Oklahoma, it's going to be 60. I mean, you want to talk about bipolar? Oklahoma's always been bipolar, but this is really ridiculous. But I'm glad it's almost over. So yeah, I mean, I don't really care at the end of the day, but whatever. I went into the show talking about this Luke Combs situation. Luke Combs is in hot water. So, if you didn't know, Luke Combs was on this app called Vine. Vine was similar to TikTok about 5 years ago, or actually, it was closer to maybe 8 years ago. Anyway, but Vine it's very similar to TikTok, and so a lot of people blew up on Vine in the country music world. Mainly, I'm talking about Ryan Upchurch and Luke Combs. So Ryan Upchurch blew up first, I believe. Maybe I might be wrong, but he blew up, Ryan Upchurch, and he put Luke Combs in a music video before Luke Combs was Luke Combs. In a music video, and they did a song called "Can I Get an Outlaw?" If you haven't listened to that song, it's a really good song. But ever since the Morgan Wallen thing happened, you have these country music stars that are on the left: Baron Morris, Mickey Guyton, and Jason Isbell. I don't know about him, but it was mainly Baron Morris was raising a fuss about this whole thing. So in the music video back in 2014 or 15, he had a guitar with a Confederate flag sticker, which it wasn't really. It's not really the rebel flag. Like the flag that people are mad about is not the flag that they should be mad about. It's actually a different one. But whatever. That's beside the point. But ever since this Morgan Wallen thing happened, there's been this need for white country singers to be held accountable for their past. And so one of the things that is happening is Luke Combs with this music video. And so if you don't remember, about 3 years ago, whenever Luke Combs signed to Sony, they hit Ryan Upchurch up and said, we are going to have to remove your song. And they said no, like, we're not going to do this, but we can take your name off. I think they agreed on to take Luke Combs' name off of the music video, but it's still on Spotify, it's still on iTunes, like that. And so now Luke Combs came out recently, a few days ago, and apologized for having the sticker on there. And he said it is not appropriate to wave the Confederate flag to show your Southern pride. And he said, I never wanted to hurt anybody, and I'm sorry. Everybody makes mistakes, and I'm trying to learn from my past, and I was a different person back then. I didn't know that I was doing that, I guess. He was in the music video, so he had to know that he was doing it, but whatever. That's a different story, but it's just so crazy that country music is getting so soft. So one of the things he said, maybe not fly your Confederate flag to show your Southern pride, but maybe you can cook a meal that your grandmother made, or maybe plant a garden. That might actually show your Southern pride a little bit better and be more appropriate. And look, I'm not a Confederate flag guy. I don't have one, but I know people who do, and they like that Southern pride, and it's not based in hate or racism or anything like that. They just like to be proud of where they're coming from, and that's the whole point of the flag. And if you are a fan of Ryan Upchurch, you know that, and he's been under fire. Like Ryan himself has been under a lot of heat. But the problem, like the difference between Ryan and Luke is Luke is signed to Sony, and Sony has Luke's balls, and Ryan doesn't. So I lost all respect for Luke Combs after this whole deal, because the whole point of the song, if you listen to the song, Can I Get an Outlaw, basically they're Luke is wanting outlaws like Waylon and Merle and Johnny Cash to be back in the country music scene, and then he comes out and has to apologize for waving putting a flags. Like I'm sorry, if a sticker offends you, then you have problems. Like you have big problems. Like you're a pussy. I'm sorry. And that's exactly what Luke Combs is to me. He turned into a pussy. And he's a sellout. I said it. But this was his opportunity to gain a lot of fans. Because if he would have had to learn anything of what happened to Morgan Wallen was flat out canceled, dropped by his label and everybody in town, and he has the #1 album in the country right now. And Luke Combs just released a single. He had the perfect opportunity to stand up for his Southern heritage, and he didn't. So he lost a lot of, basically what he had to do was, he's like, well, I don't want to piss off the record executives, so I'm going to just alienate half my audience, and I'm going to piss them off, and so I can gain some more BLM some BLM fans. So, anyway, that's my thoughts about that. Maybe I took that a little bit too far, but who knows. But yeah, country music has gotten soft, and I lost all respect. I don't really like his music anymore. That's the thing. If Luke Combs had really good music, I wouldn't care about it. There's a reason why I still like Jason Isbell. Hardcore liberal, but he makes some dang good music. But I don't even like Luke Combs' music anymore. There's only so much songs about beer I can take. So I was just about to upload this podcast and send it out to you guys, but I saw that Ryan Upchurch uploaded apology video, which I thought, wow, this is crazy. He's going to apologize for what? And I clicked on it. He's like, this is not an apology video. I was like, okay, thank you. But he said a lot of good things. It was 14 minutes long, and I thought about like dropping the audio in here, but you can go over there to his channel and watch it. But he said a lot of cool things, a lot of interesting things. Basically, no different than what I just said, but and I didn't watch that video before I said all that stuff. I said that because I meant it, but I think it's interesting that, and this is one of the things he said, is that black people wear the Confederate flag too. And he said, why is the media and why is country music trying to cover this up when trying to protect black people? Like, they're weak. Like, it's just so stupid. You know, I thought renaming the Dixie Chicks and Lady Antebellum was out there, but now they're just doing stupid stuff. If it was a problem during, like, before the video or during the video, Luke Combs should have said, that's a problem. But he didn't say that. And now the only reason he's coming out and apologizing is because he has to, because he wants to keep his job, and he wants to not get canceled. But I guarantee you he's going to get a lot of backlash, because he's live right now. He's doing a concert, and I looked at the footage. I looked at the chat, the live chat, and people are saying Luke is fake. And, you know, like I said, I don't really like his music, or I like his music, but it's the same thing over and over again. It's like all these songs about beer and things like that. And if you look at somebody like Ryan Upchurch, for example, he makes all this different types of music, and it's just so different and diverse, and it's just absolutely incredible. And Ryan Upchurch is probably the realest dude. And you know, that's what you get whenever you're independent. You get to do whatever you want, kind of like Tom McDonald, Burden, Ryan Upchurch, Adam Calhoun. You can do you can say whatever you want. You're probably going to get deleted or censored on social media, but you have no label telling you you can't do this, you can't do that. The only reason he's coming out and apologizing is because his label told him he has to. I don't think Luke Combs wants to come out and make an apology video or whatever he did. And also, I want to correct myself, because I said it was Maren Morris that brought up the video. It wasn't Maren Morris. It was Margot Price, which I do like Margot Price. She has some good songs, but she, like I said a bunch of times in this podcast, a lot of these country music stars are extremely left, but Margot Price was the one that brought it up a couple weeks ago and started right after the Morgan Wallen thing, brought up that video with Upchurch, kind of an outlaw video, and she started sharing that around, and that's what got people talking about this video again. But Maren Morris was in on this meeting with Luke Combs, like a accountability meeting or something like that about racism or something. But you know, I would be fine with that if they did the same thing with rap music, but it's not going to happen, because they want to play this blame white people game, and it's just ridiculous. And so, you know, why does Luke Combs have to come out and apologize after 6 years or whatever, 8 years or whatever? It's just absolutely stupid. Like, I'll say this: Waylon would be ashamed of the country music world today, because they're a bunch of pussies. And so, I feel better just venting on this thing. So, I'm going to get off here. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast, head over to okiepatriot76.com. Get yourself some 76 coffee. Thank you, Rush Limbaugh, and hopefully we get out of this weather mess, and God bless Texas. Pray for Texas, Oklahoma. Arkansas, all these, Kansas, like Louisiana, all these states, in the Midwest, in the South, that had a lot of damage and a lot of. I'm still trying to get over that picture, that image in my mind of that frozen toilet and icicles coming from the fan I saw earlier. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. That's crazy. But anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great day.